guiding light is all I know. Through wood and steel, through fire and lace, I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Is to a throig arcane. You laid the path before me. You guided every step. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead time it's sure? We'll build the land, our hearts within. From dawn till dusk, I work, I strive. With your blessing, I'll survive. The loom, the forge, the sword, the grain in your name, I rise again. Got Bua, got Tolan, got Trio. In you lies strength, in you lies skill. Each victory, each talent, each trial. No task too great, no skill too small. Your gifts, dear goddess, guide us all. Into force. Without your light, we have no guide, but with your hand, our place abides. Raise the hammer, string the bow. Her gift is all I need to know. Through toil and trial, through heart and hand, her grace builds up this mighty land. Is the grass the dead? Our greatest deed, by the grace of the goddess we are free. We'll build the land, our hearts within. I'm blessed to walk within your grace. Blessed by her grace, forever.
Hello. Let me start off dramatic. The world is a mountain. Whatever you say, it will echo back to you. That was written by a 13th century Persian poet, Rumi. In 2025, his metaphor feels uncannily literal. Literally, every click, post, or like we send into the digital world echoes back as an algorithmic feedback shaping our experience. Welcome to episode 159, Echoes of the Algorithm. Feedback loops in the digital age. In this episode, we'll explore how modern digital feedback loops, from the likes on our selfies to the workplace performance dashboards to the reward systems in online games, are continuously bouncing our actions back to us, influencing how we behave and even how we see ourselves. Yet, as new as these technologies are, the core idea of feedback shaping identity isn't new at all. Philosophers across the centuries have pondered how social feedback affects self-awareness and behavior. Today, we'll weave their ancient wisdom with modern psychology, sociology, and tech research to understand these feedback loops and how we can navigate them. All while playing Pax Dei, which is a feat in and of itself, I might add. And let me turn on the desktop audio so you can hear Pax Dei in all its glory. They've done some modifications, so hopefully they have made improvements. I think they have. Let's hope. So, without further ado, let's see, what do I got? I need some food and maybe, yeah, I need some food. I think everything else looks good. They did adjust the durability or lifetime of most things, meaning most weapons and armor. So their durability is overall increased on the durability side, but on the lifetime side, they decreased it a little bit, which is fine. I get it. All balancing. I have no idea where the food is. We've been building that excellent, awesome building in the back, aka Aiden. He's been building it, and it has been absolutely phenomenal. Let's see, this is Patty. Shen. Tell me we didn't. Well, let's start out with cooking. Welcome to the cooking show. I think I might need lard for this recipe. Why don't we go take a look? I have no idea where the cooking stuff went. I think he put it over here. We'll take a quick tour of the absolute monstrosities built. It's awesome. I mean monstrosity meaning it's huge. And he did such a great job with the interior. Look at that. I don't know how many times he died putting that roof up. That is a lot of materials. Absolutely phenomenal job. This is absolutely incredible. Oh, it's downstairs. As one would do, we jump down to the first floor. And I think we're down here. He's using the terrain. Let's see. So I need, and let me take a quick snapshot of this. As one would do in a game like this, you need to take a snapshot of the recipe in order to keep all the ingredients in front of you so you don't have to run back. All right, so now that we've walked through here once, he's still working on it, but that is amazing. Look at that. He's got the stairs down to what I'm assuming is the blacksmith, and then he has the areas that are gonna come up. Slow building process, but absolutely amazing. All right, so here's our. All right, so we have no ingredients in this. That's okay. I know most of it should be in one of these boxes. That's deer. I need boar neck. Boar? Wolf? Wolf? I don't use all of the meat that I chunk here. So it really stacks up a little bit. I need some of these meat chunks because I need meat strips. And I need 2 meat strips per. And I can use that. Let's see. Whoever builds the item also gets to name it and provide the access. If it's on your lot, though, you always gain access. Let's see. Oop. Wrong one. And I gotta get out of here. Or, nope. My aim's too far back. Here we go. What you might not notice is on the screen, you'll see a little circle. And that circle it will grow bigger when you are aimed directly on the object you want to examine. Ah, here we go. Boar neck is what I need. Boar neck? Boar neck? I need more boar neck than that. Ugh. That will not be good. Now I gotta find the chest that has the... Oh, good that I found this. Need those. I will also need onions. So if you see onions, let me know. Ah, here we go. Onions. Maybe up here. No, I think this is now more alchemy stuff. That's baking stuff. Oops. I have everything but the... I need meat strips and ore. Using intestines, potions. Oh, there we go. Pork carcass, good. And I will need... I think that's all I need. Do I have blackberry syrup? Sure. While I'm here, I might as well store some stuff. There we go. Alright. Let's go cook some... Well, go to the charcuterie bench. And I will do some meat strips. And we'll do all 80 and see what happens. As we'll start the episode by time traveling to see what sages from Greece, China, India, and the Middle East, and Africa had to say about feedback, self-awareness, and identity in social systems. Then we'll fast forward to the present, hearing from psychologists like Jonathan Haidt, sociologists like Cheryl Turkle, and tech ethicists like Tristan Harris on how algorithmic feedback affects our behavior, social conformity, and personal agency. We'll dive into research on the psychological impact of social media's likes and shares, and effects of surveillance and productivity trackers in the workplace. And we'll go into player feedback cycles in MMORPGs, or massively multiplayer online role-playing games, for those who do not know the acronym. By the end, we'll bring it all together with some actionable insights, a kind of philosophical call to action, if you will, on how to maintain our humanity and agency amongst these digital echoes. So get comfortable and maybe double check that your notifications are off. Let's tune in to the echoes of the algorithm and see what they're telling us and how we might answer back. So long before the first algorithm ever served you an ad or a friend request, thinkers around the world were grappling with how feedback from others shape who we are. Let's explore a few pearls of wisdom from antiquity. Greek, circa 4th century BCE. In Plato's dialogue, Crito, Socrates famously questions the value of public opinion. Facing pressure to escape a death sentence, Socrates asked, "Why, my dear Crito, should we care about the opinion of the many?" He argues with the crowd's praise or blame can't make us truly wise or foolish. Often, they cannot make man either wise or foolish, and whatever they do is the result of chance. In other words, popular feedback is fickle. Socrates suggests that we trust the feedback of reason and virtue over the noise of the masses. In China, circa 5th century BCE, around the same era in China, Confucius was teaching about authenticity in social relations. One proverb from the Analects echoes, through time. The superior person is in harmony, but does not follow the crowd. The lesser person follows the crowd, but is not in harmony. Confucius prized harmony, living in moral alignment with others, but not blind conformity. In Confucian thought, a wise individual listens and seeks social harmony, yet maintains an inner compass. They do not simply bend to peer pressure or chase approval. This ancient advice is to avoid living for the likes of the crowd. Soon we'll go to India, but did I get all 80? Now, this is a glitch, and if you don't catch it, it'll actually kick you from the system. Excuse me, I had to take a drink. Oh my gosh, I'm parched there. All right. Here we go. I'll go back in and we'll move to India. There we go. Let's see how far that carries us. So circa 2nd century BC, in India, I should say in the Indian epic, Bhagavad Gita. There is a profound lesson on staying balanced amid life's dualities. Lord Krishna describes the ideal yogi as the one who is wise and holds praise and blame to be the same. And basically, one who is unchanged in honor and dishonor. This teaching urges equanimity. Don't get puffed up by praise and don't get deflated by criticism. Similarly, Buddhist philosophy speaks of the 8 worldly winds: gain and loss, pleasure and pain, fame and disrepute, praise and blame, which constantly blow through our lives. The Buddha advised his monks that if others praise you or disparage you, do not give in to the elation or the resentment. Such reactions can only create inner obstacles. Man, this is not like the craft today. The point is that basing your self-worth on external feedback is like a boat tossed by every gust of wind. Stable self-knowledge must come from within. And I can't believe I pointed there. There we go. Let's try this again. In the Middle East, circa 13th century AD. We open the episode with a quote from Rumi, a Sufi mystic, comparing the world to a mountain echoing back our voices. Rumi's poetic insight mirrors the idea of karma or social reciprocity. The energy you put out tends to return to you. Oh, Jesus. Let me do this. Let me enter something else and exit it, and then enter that. Let's see if that works. All right. He cautions not to complain about the mountain's echo, that it's ugly, if you're the one who shouted first. In other writings, Rumi and other Sufi philosophers emphasize looking beyond others' opinions to find the truth within. For example, another Rumi saying goes, quote, "If you are irritated by every rub, how will you be polished?" Suggesting that even critical feedback, the rubs, right, can refine us if we don't let the ego get in the way. Middle Eastern wisdom traditions often highlight humility and inner faith as buffers against the roller coaster of public approval. I was going to say, if that thing, come on. All right. So to get the, just a side note here, and then we'll move to Africa. You want a premium butcher because if you have it, because you get all of the, you get the shank meat, and you get a couple other things. And this one is still, it's not showing. Huh. Usually they give you a list of meat. Oh, no more room. What are they talking about? You got plenty of room. Oh, the boar has a certain amount of space it needs. So why don't we do this? It needs a certain amount of space to be butchered at all because you get so many items. So let's see if I can craft all 20. So let's go to Africa. It's timeless. And it has sort of a modern voice. African philosophy brings us a communal perspective. The concept of Ubuntu from the Bantu languages. It's often translated as, I am because we are. One modern African philosopher, John Mbiti, phrased it, I am because we are. And since we are, therefore I am. This proverb encapsulates how our identity is constructed through our relationships. A person becomes a person through other people. It doesn't mean losing oneself in the group. Rather, it's a call to recognize that feedback and support from the community are integral to personal growth. However, Ubuntu wisdom also reminds us that the community's health and individuals' dignity must be in balance. In practice, it's a gentle reminder that yes, we exist in a web of feedback, family, tribe, society. But no, our worth isn't solely defined by any single judgment within that web. There's a shared humanity underneath. So from Athens to Indus, from the Nile to the Yellow River, our ancestors grappled with the echoes of social feedback. The consistent theme is mindfulness, to be aware of the feedback without becoming its prisoner. Care about people's approval and you will be their prisoner, goes a saying often attributed to Lao Tzu. Even apocryphal. God, I can't talk tonight. Ancient thinkers encourage us to welcome guidance and stay connected, but caution us against living for constant approval of others. All right, that should be full, right? I'm missing an ingredient. I did all 20. Awesome. All right, now I'll start switching out stuff so I can go cook that. So I'll do that. I'll do that. And then what I'll do is I need boar neck. So anything that's not boar neck, it's better. There we go. Or shank I can get rid of. Good. Or shoulder I can get rid of. Rump I can get rid of. Flank I can get rid of. Round I can get rid of. Did I get rid of everything? Now, I'm still... You know what? I'll do this. Nobody needs water. I usually put the water in. That's why I said that. That's all right, though. All right, now we're set for the perfect build. Let's hope. All right. Where we're going, we don't need stairs. Now, what he did here was pretty cool. Remember how I went into the kitchen? Well, I made this little area that is just a passageway. It's freaking awesome. Love the design. We were able to do that with the new blocks. Cool. There we go. And we're in the kitchen. Everything will be here when we're done. All right. So These age-old insights set the stage. Humans have always been social animals, wired to seek affirmation and disapproval. But in the past, feedback usually came from a handful of people in one's village or social circle. Now, digital technology amplifies feedback loops to a global, instantaneous scale. What happens when the mountain shouting back at us is an algorithm with billions of voices behind it? Let's explore, in the context of our personal digital lives, our workplace, and our online games. Take a moment to recall the last time you posted social media. Did you feel any tiny ping of excitement or anxiety waiting for the likes, comments, or shares? If so, you're not alone, and there's a biochemical reason for that feeling. Did I already get all 11 of them? I guess I did. All right, let me see if I have any more favorites. They're a hard ingredient to find. Not necessarily get for our clan, but to find for our clan, they are definitely hard to find. There we go. I'm taking the easy way out. I'm testing the stamina bar. That's what I'm doing. All right, let's see. I know Aiden said he went for more. So let's see if he dropped them off in one of these, what we call dump chests. Yeah, definitely there. Let's see if he got any more. Ooh, there. Got quite a bit. Yeah, we're going to have to go for more. However, a good component, or should I say force, of our clan is leveling up in dungeons at this point. They were doing different camps, then they moved to fortresses, and now they're in dungeons. And I don't think they fought any demons other than like maybe imps, but kudos, right? Awesome. So I'll make the meals for them. So psychologists and neuroscientists have found that social media platforms effectively function as digital Skinner boxes, training us with variable rewards. Every notification of approval gives a little hint of dopamine, the brain's reward neurotransmitter, encouraging us to repeat whatever action earned that praise. Jonathan Haidt, a social psychologist, has been studying the link between social media and feedback and mental health, especially in teens. He notes that around 2009-2012, as platforms like Facebook introduced the like button and teens flocked to Instagram, rates of teen anxiety, depression, and self-harm began rising sharply. The question was why? Well, one reason proposed is that suddenly quantifiable social approval became ubiquitous. Likes, comments, and shares act as instant social rewards. And as one recent analysis put it, by hijacking the brain's dopamine system, these seemingly benign features foster compulsive use and a feedback loop where self-worth becomes increasingly tied to digital validation. Ugh, that was a mouthful. Yeah, the task is trivial for me, so it's easy for me to make these. So I'll go put these in one of the stew boxes. I want to go through here again because he just did a fantastic job. I'm gonna make some furniture for in here. Not tonight. I think we're gonna go fighting tonight. But I might make it later tonight off the podcast because that's amazing work and I think it should be highlighted. Let's see. I think I was close to the onions. There they are. Cool. I can put the onions back. What's this? There's the mushroom. I found the single one. I don't think I failed. I don't know why it's just single. And then I could put the meat strips in the boar area, which I want to say it's here. Oh, it is here. Yeah, it is. Talk about using your mind abilities to remember where things are. And all of these boar stews will go where the boar stew goes. And I'm going to say it might be here. We should put the I got to remind Aiden or anybody to. What we'll do is we'll put the food aside and see if that helps. I'm gonna drink the liquor today. There. Now we're stocked up on everything. We should be good to go for a little bit. I got some fancy porridge in there. It's pretty good stuff. Hope they've been using it. Now that's what am I looking for? Oh, the booze. I'm looking for the booze. Probably not there though. No. Maybe over here. That's tailoring stuff. Maybe up here? Maybe. Where there's sugar, there might be booze. That's potions. Got plenty of potions. There's some carcasses. Yeah, here we go. Here it is. We'll take that. And we'll stack the 20 on. Got plenty of arrows. Should be off. Alright. So I just read that really long quote. Oh, these are other houses from my clanmates. She does a great job of building. Absolutely insane. Look at that. Look at that detail in that house. There's our market for people to buy from. This, I think, is an inn/tavern. Love it. And the game gives you a visual. Oh, she didn't build across. Court. It gives you a visual of the area inside lighting getting lighter as you. That looks incredible. And she is into her workshop. Incredible. Absolutely incredible build workmanship. And there's a blacksmith's house and workshop. Absolutely incredible. This is what I love about social games like this, because you get the ideas, you get to learn from other people, and you just meet amazing people. All right, where were we? That thing was a huge. There it was. So let's break that last statement down. So in other words, we post and we get immediate feedback about our worth. Did people applaud? Or did we get silence? That loop can be addictive. We start clicking our phones, reflexive, hungry for the next approval, right? Now there's ways to mitigate it. We'll get to that too. So research is backing up the intensity of this effect. An internal Facebook study leaked in 2021 found that Instagram itself exacerbated body image issues in 1 out of 3 teen girls. Imagine that, a huge portion of a generation feeling worse. Give me a second. Let's get into the pattern. You gotta watch for the pattern. And you should be able to do this without taking damage. I didn't think I was that close to him. There's a boar down there too. See, if you get close to him, you'll you'll trigger them. But that's not what I was here for. We'll take pauses between, certain areas of the content, and we'll do some fighting. Let's see. I'm looking at my notes. So imagine that, a huge portion of the generation, right? Feeling worse about themselves because of their post that didn't measure up to some airbrushed influencers, or because they didn't get enough heart emojis on their selfies. Other studies have found that heavy social media use, especially passive use, like just scrolling and comparing likes, correlates with higher rates of loneliness and envy. Social media creates a social mirror of unprecedented size. But often, we see it as a distorted funhouse reflection, one that can make us feel inferior or anxious if we chase those reflections. So, tech insiders like Tristan Harris have been sounding the alarm about these engineered feedback loops. Harris is a former Google design ethicist, points out that social media isn't just a neural tool we use. The platforms actively manipulate our behavior. We've moved away from a tools-based technology environment to an addiction and manipulation-based environment, Harris said. Social media isn't a tool that waits to be used. It has its own goals and pursues them by using your psychology against you. His quote, by the way. Those goals often boil down to maximizing engagement and keeping you hooked so the company can serve more ads. How do they keep you hooked? By learning what feedback most compels you. That controversial post that got you lots of attention, that video that auto-played and you just had to watch it. And feeding that back to you continuously. It's a personalized echo chamber. You start seeing the content that confirms your views or taps you into your fears because that keeps you engaged. Quote, it's a feedback loop existing. It's a feedback loop. Existing polarization leads to polarizing content, which drives further polarization. Haddad observes of social networks' effect on public discourse. That's what his observations were. The algorithms echo our preferences and can trap us in a hall of mirrors, where it feels like everyone agrees with us, or where life is as perfect or terrible as the feed suggests. All right, let me do a combat so we don't get too. All right, so Killmark's gonna bring a guy to me, but it has a really close range. And notice I had my weapon equipped, and when I cast this spell, I stopped running. So what I'm doing is I'm running so he doesn't hit me. And I'm trying not to block the entire time because it'll use its stamina doesn't recharge when you're blocking. So what I'm gonna do is I think I can take him out with a bow. Nope. Yeah, I didn't get that off fast enough. That's all right. We'll take out the second guy. Or this guy's gonna take him out. What is this guy doing? He just ran through? That sucks. Why would you just run through? Yeah, he's just running through. I gotta deal with him. Add a pattern. That's alright. Let's run back to the road. We're gonna block this guy because he can lunge. Oh. Why'd I have my bow out? This battle just got really hard. I always forget that second strike. There we go. Now we're going to take some damage. But we're going to end with the bow, and the bow will get the experience points. Yeah, it's a harsh way to do it, but it works. The idea is to have the sword out while you're doing the kill mark. Yeah, let me do one that I didn't screw up. Oh, wait. I need to heal. That's all right. We'll read from a sociology angle real quick. MIT's Shirley Turkle describes how social media encourages us to perform and curate the self in response to the feedback. Quote, technology allows us to edit ourselves. As we edit ourselves, we lose our humanity. Turkle writes, right? That's her quote. And she also wrote, critiquing how chasing viral approval can lead us to present a polished, inauthentic self. Think about it. Have you ever deleted a post that didn't get enough likes in the first 10 minutes? Or carefully chosen a filter and caption to get just the right reaction from followers? Turkle would say this is optimization of our online identity, which can erode our genuine self-awareness. When we're constantly looking to our notifications for who we are, like, am I funny? Am I pretty? Tell me, friends. We risk what she calls, quote, the illusion of companionship without the demands of friendship. We get the likes, but miss out on the deeper satisfaction of unfiltered human connection. To be clear, social feedback isn't inherently bad. It can be encouraging to build community, and it can build communities. The problem is the volume and velocity of our feedback in the digital age, and the way the algorithms selectively amplify certain signals. We evolved to handle feedback from a small tribe, not an entire internet. As one writer quipped, we now live in a village of 4 billion people with torches and pitchforks on demand. It's easy to become addicted to praise and terrified of ridicule at that scale. The Buddha's advice not to hand over our power to others' opinions, that rings very true here. All right, let's go on to the next battle. See if I can... well, first I want to see if there's an animal here, because I think there is. All right, nobody that... Oh, there's the bot. There it is. See him? Let's see if I can get him. There we go. We'll run up here where I can fight him. Barely blocked that one. Gotta get into the rhythm. I missed the rhythm. Very hard to see the rhythm sometimes, but you have to see the rhythm. Like there, I didn't see the rhythm. Gotta end with the bow. And by the way, if you're just now joining, this is why I have to end with the bow. I get 250 experience points per kill. And I have that many to go to 17. I don't get my new bow until 20. So I got 4 levels of grinding. Now I will go out on an adventure with my clan eventually, and we'll get a lot more in a little in a smaller period of time. So there is that. This one I gotta be careful, because I gotta drag them out far enough so the other ones Don't come after me. Ah, man. See what I mean? Now I have to. Let's see if I can get just him. Yeah, I can get just him. So it looks like I'm fighting him around here. I want to get him. Why the kill mark is still there. Wow. Oh, crap. I knew that swing and I just didn't. There we go. How'd he get me? You gotta avoid in this game, and it's the devs are very interesting. There we go. I don't want to do that again, so let's not do that again. I took a lot of damage from a guy with arrows. He didn't shoot his arrows. Let's see. Get the kill mark out. Let's see how far I can get him to run. Can I get him? I saw the swing. He's gonna win this if should be ready for a devastating blow. That was nice. Okay. I took care of him. I gotta heal. That one actually was a little bit easier than the freaking other guy. The swordsman was easier than the arrow guy. Alright. I gotta get to the rhythm. Anyway, so what can we do about it? Well, we'll get into solutions in our conclusion, but one hint comes from Tristan Harris again. Awareness. Simply knowing that these dopamine loops exist is a start. Some social media users are intentionally turning off like count displays or taking periodic detox breaks to reclaim their sense of self. And platforms themselves, under pressure, are considering tweaks. For example, Instagram experimented with hiding total like counts to reduce social comparison anxiety. So, if we were to look at key stats and studies, as a matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait for that arrow guy to respawn. So, some key stats and studies, social media. Just to recap a few notable findings. 63% of Americans report social media use negatively impacts their self-esteem. Various surveys in recent years. Teens who spend 5+ hours a day on social media are significantly more likely to report depressive symptoms than those who spend less than 1 hour. About 56% of people feel FOMO, fear of missing out, if they don't check out social media daily. And as I mentioned, internal research showed 32% of teen girls felt worse about their bodies because of Instagram. All this paints a picture of feedback loops that can drive what Jonathan Haidt calls, quote, social comparison epidemic. However, our digital lives don't stop at social media. Let's move from the personal to the professional. How are feedback loops playing out in the workplace? And what does that mean for our behavior and sense of self on the job? All right. Let me grab a drink here. All right. Let's see. Oh, and if anybody has any tips on combat, put them in the chat. So picture a modern office, which might be your kitchen table these days. You log in, and an app starts ticking, measuring your active minutes, keystrokes, maybe even periodically screenshotting your work. Your boss can see how quickly you respond to emails, how long your breaks are, and perhaps even your heart rate if you wear a company fitness tracker. How does this constant monitoring influence the way you work and feel? We now explore feedback loops in the workplace technology, a realm of productivity dashboards, employee ratings, and yes, sometimes dystopian surveillance vibes. So workplace surveillance and performance feedback have skyrocketed, especially with the rise of remote work. A recent survey revealed that 78% of employees use use monitoring software to track remote employees. These tools provide manager with real-time feedback on workers, ostensibly to boost productivity. In theory, it's a simple loop. Employee does X, then the system measures X, and then the employee gets feedback or reward to improve X. Think of a sales team watching a leaderboard of who sold the most today, or a call center rep getting a pop-up telling them their call handling time is about average, prompting them to speed up. Behavioral psychology tells us that immediate feedback can indeed change behavior. But there's a dark side. What gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed can get manipulated or lead to unintended consequences at the very least. All right, he's not back yet. All right, maybe we get on here. Do a combat real quick. I think I can get to this guy without triggering like a battle royale. Nope. Didn't go. There he comes. Let's go right to here. I should be able to take him. Wow. I'm noticing the movement of my guy is helping. I don't know if it's because I'm actually doing something. That one hurt. This is gonna hurt. He tried to step on me. Did you see that? Oh, that's gonna hurt. Don't have a lot of stamina. I needed to take care of him fast, otherwise I was going to die. There we go. I had to take a potion. I didn't even notice my food ran out. That's a stupid thing to not notice. They gotta give us a little bit more notice. Anyway, so studies are finding that excessive digital oversight can create negative feedback loop, stress, and mistrust. There's no surprise there. One academic paper noted that these monitoring systems, which are supposed to improve performance, often, quote, instead create a feedback loop of harm for workers and managers. How so? Employees, knowing they are consistently judged by the metrics, not the matrix, may start to game the system, like a warehouse worker who finds ways to keep the scanner scanning even while on short break, or the software coder who jiggers their mouse to appear active at all times. This in turn forces managers to increase surveillance or set stricter benchmarks, which further stresses the workers. A vicious cycle. It's a vicious cycle. Productivity might spike in the short term, but at the cost of long-term morale and trust. So let's talk psychology. Human workers are not lab rats who can be endlessly optimized with electronic shocks or pellets. When every action is watched, people often feel anxiety and loss of autonomy. According to ExpressVPN remote work surveillance surveys, a majority, 56%, of employees report feeling stressed or anxious about the employer surveillance. And 1 in 3 say they even avoid taking breaks or use the bathroom unless they don't want to look unproductive under watch. In fact, 41% of workers in the survey, quote, consistently wonder if they are being watched, unquote. That's exactly a recipe for it's not exactly a recipe for happy, creative workplaces. Another stat, nearly half of the employees, 48%, said they would be willing to take a pay cut if it meant not being surveilled on the job. They value their privacy and peace of mind that much. Clearly, the feedback loop of, quote, monitor, then pressure, then stress, then short break, then monitor harder is doing damage. Aiden is laying down on the job, I see. Let's go into another comment. And I forgot to eat. So, do I have to recast the spell? Yes, I did. All right. Ah, crap. There we go. There we go. I think I'm getting healed by him. That's the group combat dynamic at work. All that. The healing does help. And that's why group combat is imperative. And I hit the wrong button. Darn it. There we go. Kill mark works on a cooldown. There we go. My God. Wow. My armor went up. That's cool. See, I got some nice buffs from Aiden. And if he's listening, I'm going to say thank you. Let's get this guy real quick. You can't run while doing kill mark. It's a weird dynamic. Hey, get me. I walked into that. I didn't want to do that. Oh well. All right, we go over this way. Every so often with kill mark, you get a buff after it's successful. Let's see. All right, let me read a little bit more. Otherwise, we're going to be definitely splitting this up into two episodes. So really, this isn't to say that all feedback at work is bad. Constructive feedback from a boss or a peer can be motivating and help you grow. The issue is when feedback is automated, ceaseless, and solely metric driven, right? It turns work from potentially meaningful activity into a video game where you're trying to keep a score that might not even capture the real value of your work. Sociologist Sherry Turkle might argue that in such environments, we risk treating people like machines and ironically expecting the machines, the AI supervisors, to exhibit judgment that only humans have. She has pointed out that meaningful conversations, say a manager talking with an employee about performance, get replaced by terse data points, and something human in the workplace gets lost when we reduce people to their metrics. So that's a paraphrase from Turtle, by the way. And that would be into reclaiming conversation. She wrote a book. All right, let's see. Should be able to get the guy on the right. Let's try for him. Ah, crap. Too many. Ah, crap. He's got the aggro. Yeah, that hurt. Ah, damn. That was a lot of people. I'll thank him after the podcast. Holy crap, I didn't want to pull that many people. That's the power of a team, guys. This game you really need a social network. As I know. All right, well. Ah. There we go. Get him into the rhythm, right? They're easy to avoid if you know how to do it. I didn't want to do that, though. So we'll go to the road for this guy, and we just pummel him with arrows. There we go. I think I got him locked in. Now, I'm too much of an angle. Here we go. Is he on the way over there? We're not in a party, so... There we go. We'll get into a rhythm. Now, the rhythm with a bow is every time you notch an arrow, you pull it back. So your timing is imperative for the speed of a bow. And I'm trying to increase the bow's experience. So even though I'm a crack shot, and honestly, to gauge your crack shotness, if you will, hunt rabbits. There we go. And then I jump right on the spiky things. There's a bear up here, so you gotta be careful as well. But I'm gonna go for this guy real quick, and then we'll try another angle on social media conformity. There we go. God. what I want to do is I want to get 3 strikes. And then I want to do 1 rend. Ah, crap. That was total timing off. There we go. You can make a lot more mistakes when you have a healer present than you could any other time. Oh, crap. I didn't see him. Pretend he doesn't see us, right? For another 4 seconds, please. And that'll keep my cooldown on my swords. There we go. I hate when they have that quick attack. It's really annoying. That's a 3 attack. There we go. 3 attack. God damn it. I didn't time that right. Then we go over here. So I could do a little bit more reading from my notes because of the podcast. Aiden's going to be so bored. Thanks, Aiden. Anyway. So another angle is social conformity in the office culture via digital feedback. So basically work chat platforms like Slack, Teams, Zoom, etc. often have emoji reactions and public channels. The feedback loop here is more subtle. Employees learn what opinions or behaviors get a thumbs up, literally, from colleagues and higher-ups, and they may feel pressure to conform to the dominant attitudes to get the positive social feedback. Think about the quote-unquote company culture being reinforced by everyone, like the CEO posts on the internal network. There's a feedback that can either be build unity or stifle diversity of thought, right? As social media realm, as in the social media realm, awareness and balance are key. Some companies are waking up to the downsides of the surveillance culture and opting for a more humane feedback. For instance, instead of tracking every keystroke, they're focusing on outcome-based feedback, setting clear goals, and giving employees autonomy on how to meet them with periodic human check-ins rather than constant digital nags. There's also a growing movement, including legal efforts in some regions, to protect employees from intrusive monitoring. Essentially, to give some workers breathing room rather than making them feel like lab subjects under one-way glass. So here's some key stats and insights to summarize this segment. Surveillance surge. Demand for employee monitoring software rose 54% from 2020 to 2023. And by 2025, it's estimated 70% of large firms may be monitoring employees in some way. Stress and productivity. 50% or 56% of employees report stress from surveillance, and 32% admit taking fewer breaks due to it, which ironically can reduce their productivity in the long run due to burnout and other factors that we can go into a whole new podcast just on breaks. Trust feedback loop. In 59% of the employers say they don't fully trust their employees to work without digital supervision. But the more they surveil, the more the employees feel distrusted and disengaged. A downward spiral in the workplace trust. Ancient wisdom echo. Here you go. Perhaps channel a bit of Confucius here. A leader should seek harmony, not mere conformity. In practice, that could mean fostering a culture where feedback is a two-way. Employees can give feedback upward too, in other words, and focused on genuine improvement rather than just catching people messing up. In a healthy work environment, the only feedback loop shouldn't be Big Brother watching. It should include mentorship, recognition of effort, and space for creativity, which often happens when people aren't terrified of making one suboptimal keystroke. All right, I'm stepping out the soapbox. Now, let's unwind a bit and head into the realm of play. Video games specifically, how do feedback loops in games, especially MMORPGs, keep us questing, leveling, and sometimes addicted? Well, if you're watching me right now, you have an idea. We wait for the Justicars to come, they populate the area, we kill the Justicars, and we continue to do it, so we level up our equipment. We get better equipment, we want tougher objectives, we go find those tougher objectives, and we explore the world while we're doing it. Very, very interesting feedback system. With every success, you say, yes, I did it. A little dopamine hit. The crafting system in Pax Dei is definitely one of those, because you have a chance of crafting and you have a chance of not crafting. Very important to the game. In realism, because you're crafting, you're creating something, right? So you get that aspect of the game, but it also has that feedback. And Aiden says, often players tell us how we do or offer us advice on how to do better. And we'll get into that. Absolutely. So if you've ever played a massively multiplayer online role-playing game or MMORPG, like the World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy XIV, or Elder Scrolls Online, Pax Dei, EVE Online, I can continue, right? Dune, Awakening with the new one. You've definitely felt the pull of a well-designed feedback system. You know the cycle. Complete the quest, gain the experience and loot, level up, unlock new abilities and quests, then you repeat that cycle. It's a feedback loop in action. And the game designers are masters of making those loops as engaging and endless as possible. So let's break down what's happening psychologically when you get plus 500 XP flashing on your screen or a rare item drop after defeating a boss. Game developers deliberately craft compulsion loops, a chain of activities that players feel compelled to repeat because it's intrinsically rewarding. So typically, it goes something like this. You get anticipation. That is, I'm close to leveling up. Or that boss might drop a cool sword or a cool loot. And then the action, you grind the monsters, you run the dungeons, you run around the world they've created. And, of course, the reward. Ding, level up, or loot obtained. That reward usually triggers a nice dopamine release in the brain, which feels good and motivates you to seek more. Over time, this becomes habit, sometimes a hard-to-break one. In fact, researchers note that this cycle in games closely mirrors the operant conditioning of a slot machine or a Skinner box, especially when the rewards are on a variable schedule. That is, you might get a rare drop on any given kill, but you're not sure when. It's exactly like a gambler on a slot machine. Feeding on unpredictable payoffs. This unpredictability can increase dopamine spikes and potentially the risk of addictive behavior. And some neuroscience research on gambling-like reward schedules suggests that. So next we'll get into some statistics on gaming and behavior. But let's fight these two Justicars, because they're invading my land. That's the real reason why I'm here. There we go. Let's bring him a little bit further. There we go. I'll take the first one. I'll do the second one. Charged me. There we go. There we go. There we go. I did all that so I can do this. that was all for that one shot with the bow. So I'm learning the techniques, right? The feedback is me finding how the NPCs are moving, right? And as it gets easier for me, I can level up faster. That's the dopamine hit. Oh, I had the wrong one. This is going to be a long battle. Ah. He's saying something. I don't know what he's saying. Maybe it's Latin. There we go. Once you get 3 of those in a row, it really charges your attack. Alright. And I ran out of food. There we go. This guy is open. Let's do this guy and we'll get into statistics on gaming and behavior. I love how I walk down there ready to spell. I could probably run faster down here, but that's all right. So close. Then we run away. Run away! Wow. I saw that one coming and I was like, why am I doing this? I'm gonna try to get this guy down enough where I can do this. There we go. I had to try for it. I had to try for the bow. And that's what healing can do to you. Alright, let's go back up here. We'll probably finish up the episode so I can go adventure with Aiden. Alright. The addictive potential of these loops is real enough that the World Health Organization in 2019 recognized it as a, quote, gaming disorder, as a behavioral addiction. Various studies. I want you to sink in. Behavioral addiction. Various studies estimate that 1% to 8% of gamers, especially online gamers, might fall into problematic or pathological play patterns. For example, a systematic review on MMORPG players found that consistent evidence that excessive play can negatively impact psychosocial well-being. Some gamers experience declining academic or work performance, or strained relationships as the game time increases. One market research stat indicated that on average, MMORPG gamers spends about 20 hours a week in a game, with many devoted players far exceeding that. The mean was 22 hours in one survey. So why so many hours? Well, those feedback loops keep pulling you back in. You have daily quest resets. Your guildmates encourage you to log on. There's always another level or better gear to strive for. It's not all bad news. Feedback loops are also what make games fun and immersive. They give a sense of progress and achievement that might be harder to come by in real life. Modern thinkers in game design even speak positively about gamification, using game-like feedback systems to motivate people in non-gaming tasks. Like Duolingo uses points and streaks to encourage daily language. They're learning algorithm, right? Their learning language. But there's a fine line between motivating and manipulating. Tech ethicist Tristan Harris warns that some games effectively create, quote, digital pacifiers for uncomfortable feelings. That feeling bored or lonely? The game's feedback loop is ready to soothe you with instant goals and rewards. Like atrophies our own ability, right? To cope with discomfort in real life. In MMORPGs specifically, social feedback is another loop. these games aren't just about solo grinds, they're communities. You get feedback from fellow players, compliments on your high DPS, the prestige of having a rare mount, or conversely, the pressure of if you're a healer in the group and you get group wiped and your group wipes out. Like, what did I do wrong? Followed by reading chat feedback, hopefully polite. Guild systems and leaderboards formalize social feedback. Players for stats, and that status loop reinforces itself. The famous guild gets the first pick of new recruits and resources, staying on top. A positive feedback cycle in the game's social and ecosystem. Game designers are very aware of positive and negative feedback loops in gameplay. Give me a second. I need to sip. Okay. A positive feedback loop in a game, in gaming terms, means success leads to more success. That is, killing streaks that give bonus power, which can snowball. Whereas negative feedback loop introduces catch-up mechanisms to help the losing side. That is, the blue shell in Mario Kart that lets trailing players slow down the leader. A classic negative loop. The balance of these loops determines if the game feels fair or fun. From behavior perspective, both types keep players engaged, right? Positive loops give that rush of becoming a super powerful entity in the world. Negative loops ensure that a challenge remains to overcome, thus sustaining interest. Let's bring in a bit of philosophy. In the Bhagavad Gita's advice of not getting overly attached to outcomes that might serve a gamer well, when that coveted item refuses to drop after 100 tries. Also, temperance virtues from Aristotle or the Buddha's middle path can be applied to gaming. Enjoy the feedback, fun, but not to the point of neglecting reality. Some gamers set personal feedback budgets, that is, limiting playtime or disabling certain in-game notifications to prevent falling into unhealthy patterns. As a matter of fact, just a outer note to that, there are some countries who will force that into law. Let's see if I can get this guy real quick. While I go into the key points that we're going over here. Let's see if I can just get this guy. I need him to come over here. Chase me around this tree. Damn it. They pack a punch. I like the lunge, but it's annoying. It's like you can't get away from it. Ah. There we go. Watch that I didn't get too close to that guy. Oh, and that reminds me. Let's do that before I do this. Oh, while I'm holding the spell, my stamina doesn't go up. Well, that's good to know. Learning is fun. Again, need my stamina to go up. Stamina is everything in a fight, and this game is really giving the wrong feedback. They're still in development. They've done a whole mod to the stamina, and it's still restrictive. There we go. Bring him out. There we go. There's number 1. Number 2. Number 3. I'll take the hit just to do the biggest damage I can. And we have one more guy. So I think I can get him before the respawns happen. So let's do the respawns, and then we'll go through the key points. Come on, 0 seconds. There we go. There we go. Bring him out a little bit. There we go. I got too far away from him. That's one thing you don't want to do with this guy. Is get too far away. Alright, now he's ready for the arrow. Alright, now we go back to the hill. While I finish this episode. Sword isn't taking as much damage, which I like. Okay, anyway. Key points. Gaming utilizes habit-forming feedback loops. So remember, goal, reward, progress, new goal. This is by design. Dopamine is heavily involved in reinforcing these loops, similar to how it works in gambling programs. Variable reward schedules, uncertain reward timing, make loops especially compelling. Think loot boxes or rare drops, which has sparked debates on ethics such as of such mechanics. Some countries, like I mentioned before, have even labeled loot boxes as a form of gambling, so they are out in games. Social feedback in multiplayer games, your chat, your guild hierarchy, your in-game reputation, can both enhance camaraderie and create pressures to conform or overinvest in the game world for validation. You might feel you owe it to your guild to log in nightly, etc. On a positive side, a well-designed game feedback loop can teach persistence, strategy, and provide flow. That state of deep engagement, many players describe the feeling as a sense of accomplishment in-game. What is happening around me? Did Aiden go down there? There he is. All right. Anyway, so many players describe this sense of accomplishment in game that's missing from their real life. The loop gives clear, achievable goals and recognition for the effort. Something to consider for how we design feedback in schools and workplaces. It might be good, right? All right. So we've journeyed from the ancient philosophy through social media and work into the gaming realm. The common thread is clear. Feedback loops, especially digital and algorithm-driven ones, have immense power to shape human behavior and self-image. They can uplift or undermine, addict or inspire. So how do we make sure we are shaping them, not just being shaped by them? So up next, and let me see if I want to do this tomorrow. Yeah, let's do this tomorrow because I want this to sink in. We'll go over the conclusion. We'll conclude with some thoughts on reclaiming agency and mindful use of these feedback systems, guided by both philosophers of old and researchers of now. Let me just take another look, because I think we only have about 15 minutes. You know what? Let's finish it off. Let's do a whole episode. And if Aiden's listening, you can wait for me back at the camp if you want. If you're getting too bored, I know you got stuff to do back at the house, the mansion at this point. Well done, by the way. We've heard how echoes from algorithms and people around us can reinforce certain behaviors, sometimes to our benefit, sometimes not. Now it's time to step back and ask, what do we do with this knowledge? How can we live well amidst these feedback loops instead of feeling like a hamster on someone else's wheel? To wrap up, let's synthesize a few actionable takeaways, blending the ancient wisdom we started with the modern evidence we've discussed. First, we'll recap the big lessons. Oh wait, let's recap in a minute. We got enemies, so let's do this real quick. Let's get them away. There we go. That worked out really well. He did not want to walk into that, but man, there we go. He lunges in on that one. There we go. Now, my armor's going up. That's fun. Let's wait a second while we'll grab this next guy, and then we'll go into the big lessons recap. We've gone through a lot of material, so I want to make sure this is really good stuff, because we've gone through actual feedback and how to utilize it and such. There we go. One more. There we go. The greatsword has a great amount of power if you use it correctly and if your timing is impeccable. And you have to keep into account how many times you've hit something and with what you've hit them with. Anyway, so self-awareness is the key. Nearly every philosopher we've cited, from Socrates to Confucius to the Buddha, emphasize knowing yourself and your principles so you're not at the mercy of others' approval or disapproval. In the digital age, this translates to mindful use of technology. So notice when you're posting or checking the phone, you want to, how should I put it? If you're checking your phone out of genuine need versus dopamine-driven impulse, that's what you want to differentiate. As the Dalai Lama, a pretty modern philosopher, advised, external praise is like an echo or a rainbow, attractive but insubstantial. A real substance is your own intention or effort. Moderation and balance. The Stoics would say, quote, nothing to excess, everything in balance, unquote. In terms of digital feedback loops, that might mean setting boundaries. For social media, maybe you limit yourself to 30 minutes a day or take weekends off. Or use it to connect, but not define your worth. For work, balance that always-on feedback by knowing when to disconnect. That is, avoid checking work email at 10 p.m. if possible, to signal to yourself that life is more than your productivity score. For gaming, balance grinding with real-world activities and that ground you in reality. And maybe even use games as a reward after finishing homework or chores, as a way to harness that loop positively. Curate your feedback environments. This is a practical tip. Since feedback loops are often shaped by what and who we follow, we have some control. On social media, consider unfollowing accounts that provoke negative comparisons and following more accounts that inspire or educate. You can tune the echo to be more positive. If the algorithm keeps shoving upsetting content at you, don't hesitate to mute or use that, quote, not interested button. Train your feeds for well-being, for your well-being. In games you find uncertain mechanics too addictive, say gotcha loot boxes, it's okay to step away or set a rule for yourself, like no real money spent on loot crates, for example. As a matter of fact, I can name 2 things that I do all the time. On my X account, I will unfollow or negate from my feed. I will curate my feed with those real death videos. I don't need to see somebody dying in real time. No, absolutely not. And on the LinkedIn side, I want to keep it business, so I curate my LinkedIn feed with solely business framed comments and articles. I don't care about politics on LinkedIn. I want business. If politics leaks into business, then I'll read it for its content to see if it does, and I'll keep it. But if it's just pure politics, I'm out. I don't need politics, no matter what it says. Not in LinkedIn. There's other things for that. So I can curate, right? And one EVE Online rule I have, it's hard fast. I do not buy anything online, real money, for that game. If you give me a pay-to-play game, I will quit it in a heartbeat. I do not like those. Anyway, I'll get off my soapbox again. I just have it sitting next to me. So foster human feedback is the next one. Sherry Turkle reminds us that genuine human interaction, with all its messiness, is crucial. Don't let digital feedback replace conversation. If you're craving validation, a heart-to-heart talk with a close friend or family member might nourish you more than 100 likes from acquaintances. In the workplace, seek or propose more human-centric feedback like mentorship sessions or team retrospectives where people can speak openly rather than solely relying on anonymous surveys or dashboards. Now, merging those lessons with science and expert advice, here are some actionable takeaways. Consider these your personal patch notes for the game of life in a digital world. Reclaim your time and attention. Tech experts suggest taking control of how and when you receive feedback. For instance, former Google engineer Justin Rosenstein literally uninstalled social media apps from his phone and turned off all non-essential notifications to break the constant feedback loop and reduce distraction. You can try this. Turn off those red badge alerts that pull you back in. Schedule specific times to check platforms rather than responding to pings all day. By doing so, you schedule the feedback instead of being on the platform schedule. Here's another one. Practice digital stoicism. Don't tie your self-worth to metric. This one's hard, but liberating. Remind yourself that numbers are not the full story, whether it's likes, retweets, your step count, or KPIs at work. They're partial indicators, not sole definers. As a mental exercise, occasionally post something without checking the response for a day, just to prove to yourself that the world won't end. Or, if you're brave, try what some content creators do and hide the like counts and view counts from your own view. Focus on the content or the work itself. Remember Socrates' point. The many's opinion doesn't make you good or bad. Your character and intention do. Here's 3. Demand and support ethical tech. On a bigger scale, we can advocate for platforms and systems to prioritize humane feedback loops. Tristan Harris and others are working on pushing companies to redesign algorithms for user well-being, not just engagement. Support those efforts. For example, if a social media app gives you an option for a chronological feed, less manipulative than an algorithmic feed, use it and tell the company you value it. If your workplace is instituting an invasive monitoring, Have an honest conversation where feasible about trust and effectiveness. Bring data if you can, such as studies showing surveillance can hurt performance. As a customer or citizen, support legislation that protects privacy and encourages transparent algorithms. In short, vote with your clicks and your wallet for tech that respects users. Leverage feedback for growth, not approval. Try to consciously frame the feedback you get as information, not validation. If you get a few likes, maybe it's just the algorithm's quirk or a sign to improve that content. But it doesn't mean you are liked or unliked. If your workplace dashboard shows low numbers, take it as a nudge to ask, hey, what can I learn? Rather than, am I a failure? Treat feedback as a teacher or a tool rather than the verdict on your identity. This mindset shift is powerful. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research on growth mindset aligns here. See critique or low scores as fuels to grow, not a fixed label on your ability. And the last one, number 5. Cultivate offline echo chambers and of positivity. The echo chamber here, we mean your close circle and environment. Spend time with people who echo healthy feedback, who appreciate you for who you are, not just for your achievements or online persona. Invest in hobbies or activities that give intrinsic rewards, the joy of playing music, hiking, cooking, etc., where the feedback is natural. A beautiful sound, a breathtaking view, a tasty meal, rather than algorithmically driven. The more self-esteem is built on these real-world echoes, the less random X or Twitter flame or a dip in productivity stat will shake you. So let's close with a philosophical call to arms. Remember that mountain echo analogy? In today's digital canyon, echoes are everywhere, but not all echoes are worth listening to. Be like Odysseus in the Greek myth, who saved himself from the sirens. The sirens' feedback, which was the song, by stopping his ears and tying himself to the mast. In modern terms, sometimes you silence the phone and anchor yourself to your values, to resist seductive but harmful feedback. Also, be aware of the echoes you create. Each post or comment you contribute becomes someone else's feedback. We are each other's loops. A kind of comment that can uplift, a snarky comment can ruin somebody's day. So let's aim to create virtuous cycles. Use that like button, not as a mindless validation seeking, you don't want that, but to genuinely support others. Give colleagues positive feedback when deserved, and not just criticism. In games, maybe help a newbie rather than troll them. Make a game's community feedback more welcome. At the end of the day, feedback loops will always be a part of human life. They are how we learn and adapt. The difference now is the digital scale and speed. Our task is to bring wisdom and intentionality to these modern loops. As African Ubuntu philosophy teaches, a person is a person through other people. But this works best when grounded in respect and empathy. And as Confucius would advise, strive for harmony, authentic connection over conformity, meaning engaging with others, and yes, with algorithms, in ways to keep to your true to yourself. Well, anyway, that was a long episode, but I think it was well worth it, and the content is really good. It took me a little bit of time to research this, about a week, and I used all kinds of different papers and research papers, and I looked up different things from pretty much everywhere. But I think we put it together halfway decently. But thank you for listening to Echoes of the Algorithm episode. We hope this journey from ancient reflections to cutting-edge research has given you insight into your own digital habits. The next time you feel that itch for a like or stress from a work metric, or the tug of just one more level at 3 a.m., you'll remember this discussion. Take a breath, recall a nugget of wisdom, perhaps Lao Tzu whispering, "Don't be a prisoner of approval," or Turple reminding, quote, "Don't edit away your humanity," and make a conscious choice. That's all we can do, and it's powerful. By doing so, you transform the feedback loop from an echo that controls you to an exchange that you control. Well, until next time, stay aware, stay true to yourself, and don't forget, the algorithm may echo, but you hold the mic. Also, just a closing note, my YouTube channel holds more than just these podcasts. It holds a gaming channel, which I just game and mess around for an hour or so. I don't go too long on that one. It's called Enshrouded. I'm low level, so I think I have 11 episodes now. Like I said, I don't spend much time there. Every once in a while, I'll pop it up. It's not really a live stream so much, but you're welcome to join. I will announce those like an hour before I go into them. I also have a Elysian Echoes, which is a music channel where I populate for music videos. I have several now, and I'm working on another one. I think everybody's going to enjoy it. It's a conscientious rap song. It turned out really well. Suno composed the music, and I helped compose the lyrics with a little bit of internet help and some AI help as well. But check them out. They're all good. And I started a new podcast series. Well, I shouldn't say podcast. It's an audiobook series, short story, not long form. So what I did was I create images that I put on a timeline, and I speak to those images basically and tell a story. This one's called The Reluctant Architect. It's about a time-traveling, depressed young man trying to create positivity in the universe. It's pretty compelling if I do say so myself. Check it out. There's only been 12 views of it, and I think it was my first attempt at it. I'm doing a second attempt on the second chapter, if you will. But yeah, go ahead and check those out. And until next time, until tomorrow probably. And I'm gonna have to find a topic to go over, but I will. And I'll research it pretty much all day in between doing the chores and cutting the grass and stuff like that. But until then, have a great day, have a great night, no matter when you are listening to the podcast. And until next time, be safe, everybody.
With every step, a lesson learned. From fire's heat to the fields I've turned. The blade and bow, the forge and flame. I sharpen my skills, I play the game. Each day brings a challenge I must face. I train my hands with careful grace. From alchemy's art to the hunter's way, I'll find the strength to seize the day. I carve my path, I walk the line in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. From the herbs I find to the iron I mold, each lesson learned is a story told. A Stars above, they guide my hand. As I hone my craft, I take my stand. In the quiet woods, in the mountains chill, I push myself, I shape my will. With each new tool and every lore, I'm stronger now than I was before. I carve my path, I walk the line, in the shadow of the ancient sign. Through trial and toil, I'll find my way, learning more with each passing day. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight. The road is long, but I won't turn back. The lessons I learned keep me on track. With each new skill, the stronger I grow. In the face of the storm, I let my courage show. I've tasted defeat, I felt the sting, but I rise again with each new spring. For knowledge is power, and wisdom the key. I'm forging my path, I'm breaking free. The skill of survival, the will to thrive, in a world where the strong survive. I'll face the night, I'll take the chance. I'm ready to fight, to learn to dance. For every strike and every fall, I'm building my strength, I'm standing tall. In the heart of the wild and the calm of the night, I gather my skills, I'm ready to fight.